I had always been drawn to the macabre and the unknown, so when I heard about the abandoned asylum on the outskirts of town, I couldn't resist the urge to explore its decaying halls. The building stood as a grim testament to a bygone era of psychiatric care, its windows shattered, and its walls adorned with graffiti. It was a place where the past seemed to linger, waiting to be uncovered. On a moonless night, I ventured into the asylum with my flashlight in hand, its beam cutting through the inky darkness. The air inside was heavy with the scent of mildew and decay, and the silence was deafening. As I walked deeper into the asylum, I could hear the faintest of whispers, like the soft rustling of leaves. The voices seemed to come from all around me, their words unintelligible but filled with a sense of longing and despair. I turned a corner and entered a long corridor lined with closed doors. The rooms were small and filled with remnants of the past, tattered mattresses, broken chairs, and straitjackets that hung like ghostly apparitions. And then, as I reached the end of the corridor, I saw her, a woman in a blood-stained white gown, her long, matted hair obscuring her face. She stood in the doorway of one of the rooms, her body swaying as if she were caught in an otherworldly breeze. "Help me," she whispered, her voice barely audible. I took a hesitant step closer, my heart pounding. "Who are you?" She didn't respond, but her gaze seemed to pierce through me, filling me with a chilling sense of dread. I knew then that I had to find out who she was and why she was trapped in this forsaken place. I approached the room she stood in and pushed the door open. The room was empty, save for a rotting mattress on the floor. The woman's form wavered, and I could feel her presence in the room, her anguish overwhelming. And then, with a sudden, violent force, the door slammed shut, trapping me inside. I heard the woman's voice, faint and distant, as if carried away by the wind. "Help me, find my way out." I struggled to open the door, but it wouldn't budge. Panic set in as I realized that I was trapped in the room with the restless spirit. The air grew colder, and I could see my breath in the dim light. And then, in the darkness, I saw them, the shadows. They moved with a malevolent intent, their forms shifting and contorting. They whispered incoherent words, their voices a haunting chorus. I knew I had to escape, but the shadows closed in around me, their icy fingers reaching out to touch my skin. I felt a suffocating pressure on my chest, as if the very darkness itself were trying to consume me. With a final, desperate effort, I managed to push the door open and stumbled back into the corridor. The shadows retreated, and the woman's form vanished, leaving me alone in the asylum's darkened halls. As I left the asylum, I couldn't shake the feeling that I had glimpsed the darkness that dwelled within its walls, that I had witnessed the horrors of a time long past. The mysteries of the abandoned asylum would stay with me forever, a chilling reminder that some places held secrets that were best left undisturbed. Elmridge House had always been a place of fascination for me. It was an old mansion that stood at the edge of town, its sprawling gardens and grand facade hinting at a bygone era of opulence. But the mansion was also known for its tragic history, a series of unexplained deaths and a lingering air of malevolence that had kept most away. On a stormy night, I found myself standing before Elmridge House, my curiosity overpowering my apprehension. The wind howled through the trees, and the rain beat against the mansion's windows as if trying to warn me away. But I couldn't resist the urge to explore its decaying halls. Armed with a flashlight, I entered the mansion and was immediately greeted by the oppressive scent of age and neglect. As I ventured deeper into the house, the air grew colder, and I could hear the faint whispers that had given Elmridge House its sinister reputation. The voices seemed to come from the very walls, their words a haunting, unintelligible murmur. I came upon a grand library, its shelves lined with dusty books and cobweb-covered furniture. The room seemed to come alive with eerie sounds, the soft rustling of pages, the distant tapping of footsteps. And then, as I turned to leave, I saw her, a woman in a white gown, her long, dark hair hanging loose around her face. She stood by the fireplace, her eyes hollow and filled with sorrow. "Who are you?" I stammered, my voice barely above a whisper. She raised a trembling finger and pointed to the fireplace. "Help me," she whispered. I hesitated for a moment, my heart pounding, but something about her gaze compelled me to comply. I approached the fireplace and reached out a hand to touch the cold, stone mantel. As my fingers made contact with the stone, the room seemed to come alive. The flames in the fireplace roared to life, casting eerie shadows on the walls. The woman's form wavered, and I could hear her voice, faint and distant. "Thank you," she whispered, her words carrying a sense of release. And then, as if carried away by the very flames of the fireplace, she vanished, leaving me alone in the dimly lit library. I knew I should leave, that I had witnessed something beyond my understanding, but I couldn't help but wonder about the woman in the white gown, the spirit who had reached out to me from the other side. What had happened to her, and why was she trapped in Elmridge House? The mysteries of the mansion would stay with me forever, a chilling reminder that some places held secrets that were best left undisturbed. Blackwood Cemetery was a place of dread for the townsfolk, a sprawling expanse of graves and mausoleums that stood as a grim reminder of the town's dark past. It was said that the cemetery was cursed, haunted by vengeful spirits and unexplained phenomena that had plagued the area for generations. My curiosity led me to Blackwood Cemetery one moonless night, armed with nothing but a flashlight and a sense of foreboding. The air was thick with the scent of earth and decay, and the silence was oppressive, broken only by the distant hoot of an owl. As I walked among the tombstones, I could feel the weight of the past pressing down on me. The shadows seemed to move, their forms shifting and contorting in the darkness. I heard the faintest of whispers, like the soft rustling of leaves, and the hairs on the back of my neck stood on end. I approached a mausoleum, its stone facade weathered and crumbling. The door to the mausoleum was ajar, and I couldn't resist the urge to enter. The air inside was frigid, and the faint scent of decay hung in the air. As I ventured deeper into the mausoleum, I saw her, a woman in a tattered white gown, her long, dark hair hanging loose around her face. She stood by an ornate coffin, her eyes hollow and filled with despair. "Who are you?" I asked, my voice trembling. She didn't respond, but her gaze seemed to pierce through me, filling me with a chilling sense of dread. I knew then that I had to find out who she was and why she was trapped in this cursed place. I approached the coffin, and as I reached out to touch it, the woman's form wavered, and I could feel her presence in the room, her anguish overwhelming. And then, with a sudden, violent force, the room seemed to come alive. The torches on the walls blazed to life, casting eerie shadows on the stone walls. The woman's voice, faint and distant, filled the room. "Help me, free me." I tried to open the coffin, but it wouldn't budge. Panic set in as I realized that I was trapped in the mausoleum with the restless spirit. The air grew colder, and I could hear the faintest of whispers, like a chorus of the damned. With a final, desperate effort, I managed to push the coffin open, and the woman's form vanished, leaving me alone in the dimly lit mausoleum. I stumbled out of the mausoleum, my heart pounding, and made my way out of Blackwood Cemetery. The moon had risen high in the sky, casting an eerie glow on the graves and tombstones. As I left the cursed cemetery behind, I couldn't shake the feeling that I had glimpsed the darkness that dwelled within its boundaries, that I had witnessed the torment of the spirits that were bound to it. The mysteries of Blackwood Cemetery would stay with me forever, a chilling reminder that some places held secrets that were best left undisturbed.